Coaching Soccer Weekly, episode 371. Getting everything you want out of a practice session. Entertaining, educational, and inspiring soccer content to help make you a more effective coach, player, or soccer parent. Hello, and welcome back to Coaching Soccer Weekly, presented by World Class Coaching. My name is Sega Verbinovic, and this is the podcast devoted to bringing you cutting-edge methods, techniques, and tactics for coaching soccer. It doesn't matter if you're an experienced coach who has been training teams for many years, or if you're new to coaching and working with a team for the very first time. There's something we can all do to take our coaching to the next level. Well, it's that time of the year again. We're going outside. So I wanted to take the first couple of minutes just to help out those that are suffering, like I am, with seasonal allergies. It's a big deal. It's huge. You're outside on the field. You can probably still hear it in my voice for a very long time during the summer. So if you're like me and suffering from seasonal allergies, let me just give you some stuff that I've picked up over the years that, you know what, if it helps one person, then this is all worth it. The first thing I'll say is, there's obviously medication and stuff out there, but pollen will get you. It will find you. If you are there, it'll stick to you like glue. So my first piece of advice, the first thing you should do when you get home is whatever you are wearing, you put that right into the laundry machine. That's it. You don't want it in your house. You don't want it going through everything. You don't want to sit down with it. No. Just get it in the laundry machine, and that's it. The second thing, which is also, I think, pretty important, this is mainly for men. If you have a beard, it might be a good idea to start shaving. Pollen sticks to your beard, and that is close to your face, and that is not good because that's where the allergies are the worst. So if you have a beard, my advice to you would be to shave it off after practice, if possible. And anyone else who doesn't have a beard, wash your face because it can stick to your face, especially if you're wearing sunscreen, and you should be wearing sunscreen. As a coach, you are spending a lot of time outside in the sun. I always, in my coaching bag, I have a hat, and it's a bucket hat. It is not fashionable, but it is important. It protects my whole face, it protects my neck, protects everything. Bucket hat. Sunscreen, I use one from Sephora, actually, that I absolutely love. Sunscreen, hat. And then the other thing, too, is sunglasses. I remember, this might have been when I was a camp counselor, actually, and they were talking about how with kids, you should maintain eye contact, so they don't want you to wear sunglasses. Well, I get it, but when pollen gets into your eyes, that's also not great. So sunglasses, huge. You really just want to protect your face. That is the most important thing. So that's, couple of minutes, just some advice there. And then water. Tap water, fine. But mineral water, spring water, that is really what you're looking for. For me, I did the full switch to spring water, and it has done some things. Preferably, if you can buy something that is not plastic, for the environment, and but it makes a big difference. Stay safe. Listen. It's no joke being outside for hours and hours. And, a lot of coaches, we just don't have time to think about these things. So the more prepared you are going into a session, it will just help you, right? It will just make things better. So that's what I'll say about that. And let's move on. This weekend we had a tournament. It was our U13 team, which is a tournament team, not a team that plays in any of the leagues. And we tried a 3-4-3, which I've never done before. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like the way that we played. The grass was really thick. It was pretty much just long balls from both teams, and we were caught and then they were caught, and it just wasn't what I think about when I think of a gladiator performance. So we've made some tweaks, and now we're going to go with my favorite, the 4-3-3. And that just gives us cover. What our teams have not really faced is purely just kicking the ball up. And the reason for that is because up till U12, because of the retreat line, we are still forced to build out of the back. So even if the ball comes to the defender and then the team kicks the ball up, which is usually what happens, we haven't faced a team that every single player that gets the ball just looks and just sends the ball up. And we fell into that trap, and that's just not our game. So learned a lot that weekend. Didn't move on past the round robin, and had, I would say, one game that was decent. But other than that, it was a pretty big struggle because we didn't understand the shape, didn't really play 11v11 before. So a lot of things to work on, but overall, I think it was a really good experience. It was nice to kind of hang out with the players between games, and it's a different side to the players that you don't really get to see. So overall, a good experience. From a soccer point of view, definitely we're going to improve going into the next tournament, which I think is middle of June. So yeah, that was the weekend. Simple as that. We had our first outdoor practice yesterday, and the way that I've structured it is I've given the teams each an hour and 20 minutes. So the way that I've broken it down is that the first 20 minutes is an arrival activity. It's going to be rondos and shooting. So we're going to figure that out a little bit more. The shooting part, we just did rondos when they arrived. So that was how we started. After that, we go into about 10 to 15 minutes of moves where we teach players, break it down move by move. Then we go into about 20 minutes of 1v1s, 20 minutes of 2v2s, and the time that's left over is usually tactical training. So really just kind of understanding the shape a little bit more, tactical rondos, stuff like that we're implementing. So that's really how we've been structuring everything. But I'm sure it'll change as what happened with indoor, as the season progresses. We'll kind of see things that we need to work on a little bit more, and then change the way that maybe some weeks it'll be, 30 minutes of 1v1s. Maybe some weeks it'll be 30 minutes of tactical. So that schedule is very flexible. But this is how we're going to start. Kind of give everything a little bit of attention, and a good amount of attention, right? About 20 minutes of each. So I think that'll be really good moving forward. So excited to kind of start the season this weekend. I will have most of the weekend off, Saturday and Sunday off. And then Monday, I have something that I'm doing, which I spoke a little bit about. I haven't revealed anything yet. It's something huge that I'm really excited to talk about, but I kind of want to wait a little longer. I'll probably talk about it near the end of the summer, and it's going to be a really big announcement. So I'm excited for that. It's going to take up my whole Monday, so it's pretty big, and it really is going to change everything for me, for the academy. All the academy players already know about it, all the parents as well. So it's a really exciting opportunity that I'm excited to talk about again near the end of the summer. So stay tuned for that. This week's episode, throughout my coaching Soccer Weekly experience, I've gotten a lot of emails from coaches, asking me about certain parts of the game. And I love those emails. But one that I wanted to do on this episode is teach you the thought process between how I come up with specific activities for our players when they're struggling with something. And the examples that I'll use today of coming up with a session for it, it's going to be from the email that I got. I'm not going to say the coach's name or anything like that. I haven't replied, but he is from Texas. And he asked me to come up with two things, right? So first part is defending the cross. And the second part is defending the through runner, right? Or through ball, I would say. So I'm going to talk about how I would approach this, right? So this is the thought process that I go through when we're struggling with something. The biggest thing that we struggled with this weekend, for example, was our shape. Players didn't know the shape, which is fair. We were in a really small environment. We've never played 11v11. We haven't prepared for it. We've played a 3-4-1. That's why we went 3-4-3, but we changed the midfield. So usually our 3-4-3 is our midfielders play wide. But now what we did was we actually had a box midfield. So it's very different. We didn't have players on the outside in the wide space enough. So that's where we were caught. But we wanted to leave that space open to take advantage of it. Now, the way that we took advantage of it wasn't great because the wide defender got the ball and they would kick it up to the winger, and either the winger would get it or it would be intercepted, and it just wasn't the way that we wanted. So anyway, let's talk about how I approach things from creating a session. So let's take the first one, which is defending the cross. Whenever I have something like this, I think about first, I actually draw out the situation in the game. So if you can imagine, right, let's say we're playing a 4-3-3, right? Or we could do this in every age group. So let's take our U9s, for example, that play a 2-3-1, right? So usually what would happen is you would get a player, one of the wingers will have the ball on the wide space, they'll dribble up, and then you'll get two defenders from the other team against our forward and against our wide defender, right? So it's a 2v2 in the middle. Sometimes you can argue that the other team's midfielder also comes in, so you get 3 against 2, and then a 1v1 on the wide space. So if I think about that, then that's the situation that I want to create. And the power comes from creating repetition from it. So let's take that situation, create that as many times as we can, so that the players can practice it and I can get in my coaching points. So here's the way that I would do this. I figured out what the situation looks like. Now I want to create it in a small-sided game. So a perfect example of this would be 1v1s, the way that we do our 1v1s, right? We want to create situations where it's repeatedly 1v1, so we're just going to take that, put that in a small-sided game, which is 1 against 1, a lot of people playing, and then they go play. So here's what I would do with defending the cross. I would have 2 goals, and I would put them pretty close together, right? So that we're creating a really small field with big nets, because I want the players to shoot the ball. That's going to be the most important thing. I want them to, as soon as they get it from the wide space, I want them to shoot the ball. So I would have two goalkeepers in each net. So one goalkeeper, in each net. And then I would have 2v2 in the middle. And then I would have 2 players on the wide space. Okay. Those 2 players are in their own wide space channel that I would create. And now what you have is a 5v3. 5 because you have the goalkeeper, you have the 2 players, and then you have the 2 wingers. That's 5. Against the other team's 3 is 2 defenders and the 1 goalkeeper. And then we would play. Every single time I start something new, we would play. I would let them play for the first 5 minutes. No rules, no nothing. Okay? And I would see how the game goes. I would see what the players are doing. I would analyze what's going on. I would see, are they using the wingers enough? Are they shooting the ball enough? Because they're a big net, so every time they get it, they should be shooting. Then after 5 minutes, I would come in and I would put in my first set of rules. The first set of rules that I would put in, it always when I do small-sided games, is 1-touch, 2-touch move. So they can take 1 touch, 2 touches, or if they want to take more than 2, they have to do a move. The only thing I would say for the wingers is instead of 1-touch, 2-touch move, I would say 1-touch, 2-touch cross, right? So within 2 touches, I want the defenders to cross the ball. And now I've created a situation where it continuously repeats, and the defenders now have to pay attention to the constant crosses. And sorry, I forgot to mention that the 2 players in the wide space, they are neutrals, so they play for both teams. So now I've created that situation, and then I would go in and I would put in my coaching points, right? So I would make sure to tell the defenders, pick up your players, right? Make sure that, that you're in between the player and the net. Anything else that I would say as a coaching point, something else could be 1 toe to the ball, 1 toe to the defender. So your hips are open to both the ball and the player. And then as the weeks progress, what I could do is I could make it harder for the defenders. How do I do that? Well, now I can add an extra player in the middle, right? And I can say, so now it's a 6v3, right? So now you're attacking with 2 players and 3 neutrals, and then you also have your goalkeeper, right? So then the defenders have to worry about an extra player. So that's how I would approach defending the cross. I also really like this activity, and this is something that I think we're also going to do because it really emphasizes shooting. What I did last session, yesterday, was we played 7v7, but we did it in a really small field, and all I wanted the players to do was shoot the ball, okay? Get it, shoot it. If you can't shoot it, reset to switch and hit it. Find a way, find that little space to shoot the ball. What I've noticed with our teams is that we're just not getting enough shots. And it's not that the players don't know how to shoot, it's they're not creating that specific moment, that time for themselves to shoot the ball. So that's what we did there. So that's done. Let's move on to the next thing, which is a through ball. The through ball for me is really created and most dangerous with the wingers, right? So maybe it's a false 9 that receives the ball on the half turn and then puts a through ball between 2 defenders. Now, that through ball, the first action that happens is that the player gets it usually in a breakaway or in space. In contrast that with the cross, the first action from a cross is a shot, header, volley, whatever that is. So the end product is different. So instead of using goals for this, I'm actually going to use an end zone because I want the game to essentially have the success or the failure at the first action, right? So like I said, in that cross, it would be the shot. That's why I want to focus on that session before on getting the cross and then the shot, and then it's either a goal or it's not. Either they block it or they don't. So here with that through ball, it would be an end zone where the player receives it. And if they receive it in the end zone, then that's a goal, right? If they don't, then that's success, right? We've blocked that through ball. Now, just like everything else, I would do it in a small-sided game. So either a 4v4 or a 3v3. If I do a 3v3, I would do a bunch of 3v3, and I would make it so the goal that they would score a point in the end zone, but it has to be 1 touch. Like they can't dribble to the end zone. They have to receive the ball in the end zone. And then again, I would make my coaching points, right? What is it that I'm looking for, right? I would let the kids play, 3v3, 4v4, whatever it is, and watch. What are they doing wrong? Is it their body shape? Is it the fact that they're not scanning? Is it that they're not aware of what's going on behind them? And then based off that, I would start implementing rules, 1-touch, 2-touch move, right? And then after that, I would continuously make stoppages and figure out what the situation is and why we're not being successful. For me, that's really how I come up with games for the players. I look at the situation, I recreate it. I take a small snapshot of it, and then I create it within a small-sided game, usually a very small-sided game. The only time I don't is if we're working on shape. That's usually a big rondo, but even that has a smaller rondo component to it. First, we have to understand support, advice for this foot, losing your defender, scan, choose, do, right? So all these things go into our small rondos, and then after that, we create 3 or 4 different rondos that we use, and then we'll have multiple balls playing, right? Within a giant game of rondos, right? We're not just playing like a 7v5, right? We might be playing a 7v5 within 4 rondos with 2 balls or 3 balls even. But we'll start with 4 balls. Each individual team will be in their own rondo, and then we'll start to adjust. So those are really the main concepts of creating your own session and really focusing on a specific thing that you see trouble with during the game. Now, the idea of having a curriculum, I completely understand that, right? But for me, I don't like it because I think by focusing on one thing, you're really neglecting what the kids want. So if you think about the way that we've organized our session rondos, 1v1s, 2v2s, tactics, right? All those aspects are things that we could include in any curriculum, right? I can use, let's say the focus is on building out of the back. That's the part of the curriculum that we want to focus on. And we're also focusing on passing and receiving. I can do that in a rondo, right? And then go into a tactical rondo. So that's something that's already in there, right? Let's say we're focusing on dribbling and we want to beat a player to get a shot off, 1v1s, right? And then we can work on give and goes, 2v2. So all these different things that would normally be included in a regular curriculum, we already worked through that. What we do now is we just change a specific activity when we're having trouble with it during the game, and we really focus on what it is that we're having trouble with. So if we're having trouble with a lot more of our 1v1s, right, then that's what we'll have a larger focus on. We'll just add more time to it, if that makes sense. So that's really my belief on curriculum-based approaches. And I think a lot of clubs do that. They have a set curriculum for everyone. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, simply because of what I just mentioned. It's not a one-size-fits-all, right? Unless you have everything that you're doing covered every week. And that's what we do. We cover everything every week. So I don't want to just have a month focused on passing and receiving. That doesn't make sense to me because you're neglecting everything else. So yeah, they'll be great passers, right? Great receivers, but if they don't practice it again the next month, what's the point? Everything that you do is muscle memory. So if you stop doing something, then you're just going to regress. And I have a perfect example of this. I don't know why this always stands out, and I think about this way too often. In grade 6, there was a school soccer team, and the coach of that team really didn't play well. Like, he didn't coach well. He was just a parent of a child. And my dad really didn't like the way that he played, to the point where he told me that I couldn't play with that specific coach. And I remember when I went to my friends and I was like, sorry, I'm not going to this tournament. My dad doesn't like the way the coach does things. He thinks it'll make me worse by practicing with that coach. Let's use that type of language. And my friends were like, that doesn't make any sense. Don't forget, we were in grade 6, right, back then. And now looking back at it, 100% right. If you have a coach that teaches you the wrong things to do, and your muscle memory then becomes that, okay, first thing you do is just kick it up whenever you, like, those are things that are actually going to take your development backwards, right? So for me, I completely understand and agree with that point now. I wanted to take some time to just say thank you. This is a really big episode for me. It's actually my 100th episode. So I started this at 271 and this is episode 371. So it's a pretty big deal. I was very unprepared when I started this. Everything happened so quickly, and I'm just so grateful that you stuck with me. Hopefully things are moving in the right direction. But I'm very honored to have continued this legacy. You know, who knows how long I'll be doing this. And when I'm done, hopefully someone else can take over the show. And this can just be a really cool, great platform for coaches and anyone who, you know, wants something to listen to every week. That was my favorite thing. I just love hearing Tom every week. And I got to be honest, there are still weeks where I miss that. You know, the fact that I did take over the show, I'm very happy and proud of that. But I miss Tom and just hearing him every single week on my way to practice. When I first talked to Tom, which was over a Zoom session, back when I was a guest on the show, I felt like I knew him already when I spoke to him. So just because listening to him and everything, you know, he talked about his personal life, you know, skiing and stuff like that, and his teams, and he just really felt like a friend, and he was so kind and so great when I spoke to him. So if I am even a tenth of that to you, then, you know, my work here has been very successful. So thank you so much for sticking with me. Thank you, Vio, for continuing to support the show. It's very, very easy to spot Vio everywhere now. Everywhere you go. We were at the tournament, and it was pretty much every team, every game had a Vio up. So they're doing really great things. They're continue to listen to coaches, and feedback is one of the things that I really love about them. And to get $200 off, you know, just use the link below. But I'm excited. There's a big future coming, as I keep talking about. But I think it's been really interesting to document my growth as an academy, as a coach, every single week. And I think, you know, if I ever can look back and listen to these episodes again and just kind of, you know, think about what I was going through at that moment. Every week is something different. As an academy owner, right now we have different struggles that we didn't have when I was at 271. You know, we went through the whole COVID period, and now having 6 teams. Before, when I think I started this, I might have even had 1 or 2 teams. So the growth, the number of coaches we've added on, the education. If I look back even 6 months ago as to what we were doing, we're completely different now. And we're going to continue to find new things and have hard conversations between us coaches. And that's really what I look for within my coaches, people who can challenge me and challenge my ideas. So don't think that I'm on here and, you know, it's just what I think that goes. A lot of the stuff that I've even spoken about in the past, you know, after having lengthy conversations with some of my coaches, we've kind of decided to go a different direction. You know, the people that I surround myself with, I really trust and I value their opinion. And who knows, maybe I'll have them on the show once or twice in the future. But yeah, just thank you so much for continuing this journey. On a side note, we're actually almost at 400 coaches on Facebook. So if you are not part of that, you know, feel free to come on there and, you know, talk, engage, make connections. And yeah, that's Coaching Soccer Weekly on YouTube. If you want to follow me, sorry, not on YouTube, on Facebook. If you want to follow me, you can check us out on YouTube, Gladiator Soccer Academy. I have not been posting, but I'll probably post a lot more in the summer. And yeah, what else? Instagram, Gladiator Soccer Academy. So thanks so much for anyone who sent emails, who's been on the show. And yeah, let's keep moving and keep looking forward. So until next week, enjoy the journey, enjoy the moments, but most importantly, enjoy the game. Coaching Soccer Weekly is a production of World Class Coaching. All rights reserved.
Hey, thanks for watching all the way to the end. And you can check out more of our videos right here. And if you haven't done so already, I would really appreciate it if you'd hit the like button and the subscribe button.